Well, today I'm back out in my favorite studio. We don't have a conversation with anyone else today. It's going to just be me and you. Because I thought I'd just take a little break from the interviews, although we do have some really good ones coming up. I think you're going to be pleased. I collect sayings and quotations, and there are some that reflect the times that we're in. Some are just humorous as they can be, and there's some smart people out there, both living and deceased, that have made some things that sometimes some of us ought to stop and just remember and reflect on, and others just to enjoy. So I thought I'd come up with a few of those today as a sort of a change of pace. I hope you enjoy them. I've enjoyed looking at them again. I have pages of them. So that's what we're going to do today. Invite you to stay with us out at Richie's Roost in downtown Shaco, Mississippi. You're looking at downtown. And the first one we'll come up with is from a fellow named Molotov, who was a foreign minister of the Soviet Union in 1939 to 49. He said this in about 1953. He said, "The trouble with free elections is that you never know how they're going to turn out." Well, he's right. Free elections will do that. Now, Billie Jean King was a wonderful lady tennis player. She was outstanding. And people were always comparing her to tennis players of the past. For example, Helen Willis Moody was a champion female tennis player during the 1920s and 30s. She was outstanding. And Suzanne Lenglen was a world #1 female tennis player from 1921 to 26. And people were, as they will do, they were comparing Billie Jean periodically with them. How would you have done against them? And she said this. She said, "I never cared much for cementing my place in history. Sports is so transitory and ephemeral, you need to look that up. It just seems like so much nonsense comparing me to Helen Willis Moody or Suzanne Lenglen or anybody else from some other time. One lesson you learn from sports is that life goes on without you." That could be true of anything other than sports, by the way. This is a wise lady's saying. She said, "I do not believe it's the function of the judiciary to step in and change the law because the times have changed. I do well understand the difference between legislating and judging. As a judge, it is not my function to develop public policy." And that wise lady was Sandra Day O'Connor in 1981. She was the first female Supreme Court justice. This one has a little bite to it. This is St. Francis of Assisi, and he goes back several centuries. He says, "Preach the gospel, and if necessary, use words." Think about that. A young man named Napoleon Bonaparte said, "In politics, an absurdity is not an impediment." Well, he could have lived today and said the same thing. In politics, an absurdity is not an impediment. And this man, higher up, you'll recognize his name, but they got talking about the educational system, particularly the higher education. He said, "This is the criminal left that belongs not in a dormitory, but in a penitentiary. Holy smoke. Something cranked up over there a while ago. It sounds like earth moving equipment. I don't know what that is. Let me start that again. He said, this is the criminal left that belongs not in a dormitory, but in a penitentiary. The criminal left is not a problem to be solved by the Department of Philosophy or the Department of English. It is a problem for the Department of Justice. Vice President Spiro Agnew in 1970. Here's a good one. I liked this guy. We at Chrysler borrow money the old-fashioned way. We pay it back. Lee Iacocca said that in 1979. If you remember, he borrowed $1 billion from the government, but they paid it back. Here's a man named Edmund Burke in 1783. The people never give up their liberties, but under some delusion. You don't give up your liberties unless you're tricked. Like, for example, if you like your plan, you can keep your plan. If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. Period. Another man you'll recognize, I think. But our great security lies, I think, now is starting a new country called the United States of America. But our great security lies in our growing strength, both in numbers and wealth. Unless by a neglect of military discipline, we should lose all martial spirit. For there is much truth in the Italian saying, make yourselves sheep, and the wolves will eat you. A man named Benjamin Franklin, 1773. Here's another one. The democracy will cease to exist when you take away from those who are willing to work and give to those who would not. A young man named Thomas Jefferson, probably one of the most brilliant people ever to grace the Capitol. Oh, I love this guy. One of my favorites. I got a lot of favorites. Papers say Congress is deadlocked and can't act. And I think that's the greatest blessing that could befall this country. Will Rogers, 1924. Here's one of my favorite writers, if not my favorite. I have no color prejudices, nor taste prejudices, nor creed prejudices. All I care to know is that a man is a human being, and that's enough for me. He can't be any worse. In 1899 from a man named Mark Twain. Now, here's another one. You may not have heard this guy before, but you probably have. In general, the art of government consists in taking as much money as possible from one party of the citizens to give to the other. Man named Voltaire, 1770. Once in a while I run across something like this that gives me pause. I don't want to achieve immortality through my work. I want to achieve immortality through not dying. And another one from this same character, I don't want to live on in the hearts of my countrymen. I want to live on in my apartment. Thus saith Woody Allen, 1973. Here's kind of a wise saying. If you want to inspire confidence, give plenty of statistics. It does not matter that they should be accurate or even intelligible, so long as there's enough of them. Lewis Carroll, 1886. Oh, I don't know whether you have to be of my generation or not, but there was a blonde bombshell lady named Zsa Zsa Gabor. Now, you folks who haven't, her name is spelled capital Z-S-A, capital Z-S-A-G-A-B-O-R, so you can Google her. She was something. Married 9 times. Zsa Zsa Gabor. She said, I never hated a man enough to give him his diamonds back. Oh, man. Well, I'm going to borrow a saying that I've used before. When at one time, somewhere back in the past, we talked about sayings by the Indians many years ago. A lot of prophetic sayings, insights were incredible. This one comes from Tecumseh, who was the great Shawnee chief. And we'll close with this one. It said, when you were born, you cried, and the world rejoiced. See to it that when you die, the world cries, and you rejoice. Can't think of a better one to close on than that. We'll get together next week and do something. Not promising what, but we got some things lined up for sure in the future you're going to like. So if you would, hit the subscribe button down there so you don't miss anything. And I'm Jim Ritchie, and I'll see you again next week.